Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of Energy Works. Lauren here with Blaine. Hi, Blaine.
Hi, Lauren.
We are going to continue our journey around the wheel of the elements, and we have just landed today on Earth. We have landed on Earth. And so we're going to talk a little bit about this beautiful planet, this beautiful element. The seasons of the earth element are the equinoxes and the solstices. These are the between times, the hinges between each of the seasons, the four main seasons: winter, spring, summer, and fall or autumn. And those solstices and equinoxes, the earth time is 1 week either side of it. So you can think of the winter solstice, and the week before the winter solstice and the week after the winter solstice is this earth time. And the earth is about balance. It's about coming into balance. And so as we go into the deep seasons where we go wildly deep off of center, we are reminded all the time of coming back to center, coming back to center, coming back to center. And that is what the earth elements is. One of the teachings of that is to have that balance within the self. And it's interesting because the fire element, we talk about the heart, and that is your essentialness of you is held in the heart. But the earth element governs your blood. Fire element governs the blood vessels, but the earth element governs the blood, which really is the fluid that feeds you everything. It's what allows you to be alive, this circulation of this fluid. And again, circulation is in the fire element, but the fluid itself of the blood is in the earth element. And the meridians that are governed by and govern the earth element are the stomach and the spleen. And the stomach can be, we'll unpack that one first, a little bit easier to understand. It's your nourishment, like how you nourish yourself. That's what the stomach meridian does. And one of the most basic parts of being alive is eating and nourishing, and gaining that nourishment from what you eat. And that's where the spleen comes in. The spleen is about digesting and assimilating everything that you take in. So not just the food that you take in, but every conversation, every experience that you have, everything that you take into the body, every class that you take, every movie that you watch. All of this also needs to be integrated into you and into your mind, body, spirit, energy. And so that's what the spleen does. And so between these two, it's like taking in the nourishment and making it become who you are. And the earth archetypes are, one of them is simply the earth mother, the earth mother. And you can think about that loving, nurturing energy, and that's the easy one to look at to when we want to talk about being in or out of balance. So out of balance is taking in too much nurturing, too much nourishment that the body, mind, spirit, energy can't utilize. And so if you've got weight problems, that is often an earth element issue. And the flip side of that, of course, is not taking enough nourishment in, not being a part of this earth, like starving yourself or being starved of the beauty of that the earth has to offer. So that's kind of an easy way to visualize. I think often of like the earth element out of balance is, there's a potluck, and out of balance earth is the first one at the table and taking the biggest piece of the pie and the biggest chunk of everything. And if there's not enough for everybody, that's okay. I got what I needed. That's earth out of balance in the one way. And the other earth out of balance the other way is they cooked everything and they set the table and everything's, and then everybody else eats and they are still doing dishes and they're no, it's okay. And then they wait and they'll just eat whatever little crumbs are left Don't worry about me. It's all about taking care of everybody else. And a lot of people in the healing world, in the yogic world, in any kind of healing arts, mothering, nurturing arts, knows that is a big possibility in the earth element of becoming out of balance when you're caretaking so much that you stop taking care of yourself. And we often use that, I don't know if it's a metaphor, but that idea of in the airplanes, if the oxygen mask drops down, you put it over your own mouth first. Even before you put it over your child who's sitting next to you, you have to take care of yourself first and primarily and foremost. Otherwise, you have nothing to give. And often the earth people can feel in your life really needy, even as they're giving. And maybe you've had that experience where somebody's giving you something and you feel like, why do I feel like I just gave a bunch? They gave me something and I feel like they actually took more than they gave, because earth elements can be really needy of adoration, of love, of you're the one that, that helps. And, they need that. And so it can feel, it can feel kind of boundaryless, right? And that's another thing with the earth element, is they can have very not strong boundaries between who they are and who someone else is. And I'll just mention what the emotional piece is, and then I'll turn it over to you, Blaine. The emotional challenge of earth writ large, right? Just the big umbrella is worrying, and caring too much about what other people think, worrying about other people, and not putting the focus onto yourself at all. So worrying about others. And the balance of that is self-love. That's self-love. So that's what makes the earth so much about you individually, because, we've had courage, we've had the ability to stand up and take assertive, positive action, we've had inspiration and joy. But all of that comes only when we have the ability to truly love ourselves. I'm going to stop there and invite you to join Blaine.
Sure. Yeah, that was beautiful, Lauren. I think because we're in the yoga profession and we are yoga teachers ourselves, we're surrounded with a lot of earth people. When I teach yoga teacher trainings and we take the 5-element quiz, it's pretty common that there's a lot of earths when we're going around and we're saying, raise your hand if you're water, raise your hand if you're wood, because it's a good way to back into what someone's element is. I mean, Lauren and I haven't been saying, a typical profession of water, might be a writer or an artist, or, each of them, if it's your primary element, you're just drawn to certain types of professions more and other types less. So it is, normal in a certain type of profession, you might have an overdominance of a certain element, which really, like in the corporate world, not to get too far off path here, when you have, your corporate boardroom table, ideally you would have every element. Someone who's a primary of every single element sitting at that table and putting in their 2 cents on the problem, or, whatever it is that you're trying to, or the project plan you're making, or the people management, or whatever it is that you're doing, because they're all so important. But what often happens is that in earth elements, nurses, teachers, and like yoga teacher falls into teachers, helping professions, not for profits, right? When you get into these kind of worlds where your job is literally in service of other people, like you're drawn to these types of professions because of a need to be needed, right? Like if I do this position, this type of job, I'm helping other people. Other people need me. I'm serving. I'm a big part of the community. And it's a fun thing with people who are earth primary, because when you study Chinese medicine and you're learning about ways to balance your elements, or things you can do to help bring yourself into balance. For earth, almost ironically, they'll say volunteerism, because earth people do truly feel most fulfilled when they're helping. But what can happen with the earth out of balance person is they get in this worry kind of place. And if you go volunteer somewhere, you can help in a healthy way distract yourself from your own worries and feel quite fulfilled. And so if you're seeing like a 5-element acupuncturist or therapist or something like that, they might say, hey, go volunteer somewhere. And that way you kind of get out of your own head and your own worry and your own thing. But you can do what you're good, and what makes you feel happy is kind of be in service to other people. But back to where I started, us, the yoga teachers, it's obviously like Lauren's not a primary earth. I'm not a primary earth, but there are a lot of women yoga teachers. There's a lot of women who are the nurturer of the family, the holder of the family. There's actually a father side too, which is the metal element, which we'll talk about when we talk about metal, which is more of like the self-respect and the discipline and the goal setting and that sort of thing. It's considered more the father in Chinese medicine. But this earth mother, the archetype of the mother, who everyone goes to. I mean, when you need comforting, right? Or one of the images is the child at the breast of the mother, and the comfort. That's where the child goes, right? For comfort is the breast of the mother. And so she is holding this energy, often to her own detriment, because the more that she's giving to others, the more I guess detached from her own needs she becomes. And then you have the metaphorical well, right? She's giving and giving and giving, and then her well is depleted and she has nothing for herself. So maybe starts overnourishing. That's in the diet and exercise world, when people are overweight, it's like the euphemism, they're overnourished. the people who are, but it's kind of an energy medicine kind of term to use, overnourished. You're taking in more and more nourishment, trying to fill this bit of a well that you've emptied out of yourself in taking care of others. But where the earth mother is so beautiful is that, first of all, she is the source of all life. We all come from the mother. She is the wisdom holder, right? She is more of the feminine energy. There are plenty of guys who are earth energy, so it's definitely not a feminine thing, but in this kind of archetype kind of way, we started in water, right? We come from the embryo. We come from the water, from the womb, and none of us would be here without it. And so for those of us in the year 2025 who are, living and working in this, the 2025 world, who are also an earth element, it's about finding the right balance of taking care of the people around you. And even those of us who aren't earth primary or secondary, we do take care of people. Every human being, we live in a society and we live in a community, and almost all of us have some responsibilities for other people around us. And so it's not just like, women who've had babies and are in a household sort of thing are the only ones who do this. We all do it. But for those of us who it's our primary thing, it's like the reason of being is really in this caretaking role, finding the appropriate ways to have boundaries for what you do and what you don't do, because part of your job is teaching other people how to take care of themselves so that you can also take care of yourself. Lauren, do you want to dive into worry? Because I kind of
No,
like
there's
touched
so
on
many
it.
things actually that I want. I will get to worry, but there's two big pieces that I want to dive into first. And I was going to do one, but then you just brought this up, so I'm going to do the other first, and then I'm going to go back. So there's a lot going on here with Earth. So we keep talking about harvesting the gifts of the elements, and Blaine was saying like that neither she nor I are primary Earth, and the Earth element is also yin and very you used the word feminine, then you took it back, but I'm going to bring it back again. I don't mean feminine as in gender. I mean feminine as in like the descriptive of that kind of internal expansive, not expansive, but the internal expansive, right? External expansive is the masculine, but the internal expansive is the feminine. That giving, that nurturing, that generative, that is all that sort of yin, feminine caretaking a caretaking thing there. So we're going to get to the virtues and the faults in a moment, but I want to just share my own personal story with harvesting the gifts of the earth element. So I don't have biological children, and we can do a whole podcast. Maybe we will at some point of our fertility journeys, and if that's a lot of women have really powerful journeys to share, and we're certainly no different from that. And so we'll share those at some point. But I don't have any biological children, and it's been a real heartache of mine for that reason. And I'm going to get a little emotional here, but that's okay. You guys know me now. So you know that I'm holding two fingers in the hollow at the base of my throat so that I can keep talking and telling you my story here. So I'm caretaking now for a creature who I adore, my dog. He's 16 years old. A lot of you know him, Louis L'Amour. He's woven through EM yoga. He's in all the books. He's in all the teacher trainings. He's in all the videos. He's everywhere. He's absolutely the love of my life, and he's at the end of his life. And so I'm caretaking for him right now. And it's very intense and very beautiful and fully time consuming. Like, this idea of taking care of myself right now has completely flown out the window. And I understand how easy that is because all I want to do is care for this creature. And it's 24/7. I'm like, I help him outside to go to the bathroom. I help him to get up to drink. Like he's losing his strength day by day by day. And I had this experience I'm in like the liminal zone all the time now because I'm getting very little sleep. It's almost like having a newborn. His body is very fragile and delicate, and I'm getting very little sleep, and I'm caring for him, not obsessively, but very devotedly and very specifically. And I had this, I don't know, was it a waking dream, a dreaming dream? I honestly can't tell that anymore, the difference between being awake and being asleep, because I always sleep. And those of you parents know this. I have like both ears open. I'm sleeping, but I can hear any slight rustle and I'm up. And so I had this experience just a few days ago of absolute, utter joy and bliss. There's nowhere that I want to be except exactly where I am. I feel completely fulfilled in every task that I'm doing, and some of them are pretty gnarly. As you know, if you've been around someone who's ill, there are some, the body is magnificent in what it creates and expels. And I felt this huge, I don't know how to even describe it, but I was looking at my hands holding his little body, and I understood finally the gift of the earth element. I harvested the gift of the earth element. I have been caretaking for this creature and watching what my hands and my heart are capable of. How much love, how much compassion, how much energy that I can create out of nothing. How I can go through the day on 2 hours of sleep and still show up for him. And it made me feel like I have achieved my earth element gift, or we in our world we call it like that you've lit up that point on your star.
because I thought I'll never do that. I haven't had a child. I'll never know what it's like to truly have that earth element experience. And that was the lie. The truth is I have had that experience. I am having it right now. And it is absolutely magnificent. And it feels to me that I have completed this point on the star that I thought would never be complete. And that was just my viewpoint of myself. If I don't have a biological child, I will never have that earth experience. That was just my dogma. Obviously, that's not true on so many levels for so many people. There's a thousand ways to experience the gifts of each of these elements. But for me, that has been a really a big thing that's been hanging out there. Like, I'll never have that. Okay, I've had all these other things in my life and I feel complete. I could die at any moment, but that's the one thing I don't have and I'll never have. And all of a sudden, the gift that this dying creature gave to me is to experience the depths of the earth element in all of it, in all of the excess of it, in all of the non-sleeping and non-eating and non-showering and not seeing anybody else, and like all of that excess and all of the beauty of caring and for this creature so delicately and so beautifully. I feel so proud of myself and so empowered to know that I have this within me, that I have a really strong, powerful earth element, and that I have harvested the gift of that. And we keep using those words, harvesting the gift of the element, until you actually do. It is really hard to understand the flood of everything, the joy, the bliss, the completion, the santosha, the contentment that you have achieved a part of your destiny. It has been a magnificent experience beyond anything that I thought I would ever have in this life. So there is the gift of the five elements and how we can constantly be learning and growing and receiving. And that is a gift of the earth element as well, to not only to give but to receive, and to be able to receive that kind of love from myself, because I'm loving myself loving him. I hope that makes sense. I am loving myself loving him. And that is that's the divine mother. That is the divine earth mother, and that is the archetype of the earth element. And so I just wanted to share that with all of you. And I know I'm super emotional, so thank you for receiving that, because it's huge. And I want that for each one of you. I want you to be able to feel that huge blessedness that is available no matter where or what is going on in your life or your path, and whatever things that you have or haven't achieved. There are ways that the world will give you these gifts if you're open to them and you just are present. So the virtues of the earth: compassion, caring, making others feel safe. Earths serve and harmonize humanity. That's big. That's what we're here to do, Earths. Serve and harmonize humanity. And boy, do we ever need that right now. And I want to talk about the faults here because, of course, everything is everything. And we're going to go into this understanding of the emotional component of Earth, that worry and that self-love. So here's the greatest fault of the earth element. Earths suffer too much for others, often interfering with others' lessons. Other people's lessons, they interfere with other people's lessons. The meddler. So it's that kind of the busybody, that worrying about others, but it's also like got an opinion about everything that everybody else is doing, and they're in the mix and they want to know and what did you do about that, and then what did he say, well then what did she say, and then this is what I think that's an earth element, kind of that busybody. Mrs. Olsen, I totally just time-stamped myself, but if you ever watched Little House on the Prairie, Mrs. Olsen is an earth out of balance in the negative. As the enabler, they get caught in the middle and can become manipulative and interfering. So some of the worst kind of attributes that we use against women, and I'm using that very specifically against women, is that manipulativeness, that women are manipulative. And that comes from being out of balance as an earth element. And there's, Blaine talked about the incredible power of the earth element, the incredible power to bring forth life. And I don't just mean birthing a baby, but to harmonize humanity. That's a big ask. That is a big bringing forth of life. And with that power, if you're not in balance, you can become manipulative and interfere and get caught in the middle. And again, this is not only women. This is an archetype. And so men are earth elements as much as women are. As a matter of fact, I'm married to an earth element and have learned a lot about earth elementness through him, but not as much as I learned through caretaking for Louis. So I'm going to stop there and I'm going to turn it over to Blaine.
That was really beautiful, Lauren. We've, I've kind of been alongside you with this Louis journey, and I've never heard you say all that. That was, but you're harvesting. That was really beautiful. One of the things I put in my notes, I'm going to tear up a little bit. One of the things I put in my notes was that there is strong scientific proof that when someone is serving someone else, the giver has a strengthened immune system. So not the receiver, but the giver has a strengthened, the person who is doing the serving gets a strengthened immune system from helping someone else. And that popped in my mind that I'd written that down in my notes, Lauren, when you were saying, I'm only sleeping 2 nights, blah, blah, but I have like so much energy. And I have I kind of like, I thought about that, like whatever you're receiving from doing that is boosting your immune system and probably giving you strength for what you have ahead of you. And I've never, until I heard you talking about this, I've never thought about it in an earth element way, but I have never helped someone transition into death, a person. I have an animal, but not a person, because I lost both my parents a long time ago. And because of those situations, I wasn't, both of them was a very fast death, and I wasn't around for it. And so I've always felt this like I'm going to go through my life without, and I've never had my own children. And so, hopefully you don't watch your child die, but like, I just thought I've never in my life, I don't think I'm going to, do this, but I have a partner, we've been together for 12 or 13 years, who is 18 years older than me. And so it is somewhat likely that he will pass before I will, and that I will be in that caretaking situation. And I've looked, it's something I've looked forward to. And not like I don't want my partner to die. But that's not what but you know what I mean? It's like, I feel like I should not go through this lifetime and never have this experience of helping another human pass. And, I didn't get to do it with my grandparents or my parents. And so I do feel like this little hole, that it's not a life experience that I have had, but I've never connected it to an earth experience. And that's what it is. So thank you for saying that, because that kind of helped me connect a longing to an element.
Oh, I love that. A longing to an element. Yes. Yeah. We often think of, and we'll get to metal next, but we often think of death as being in the metal element, which of course it is. Metal element is about endings, but the nurturing towards death is very earth element. And I did, it's interesting, as I've been holding Louis as he gets littler and littler, I have been in the presence of another dead, well, he's not dead yet, but I have been in the presence of a dead body. I was there when my father died. Now, I don't know that I helped him Well, maybe we did. So he had a double brain aneurysm, and then experimental brain surgery didn't work, and his brain was swelling, and he was on life support, and we had to make the decision to take him off life support. So my sister and I were there in the hospital with him, and my grandmother, his second ex-wife, I don't even know what to call her, but my ex-stepmother, I don't know, and my brother was in the other room, and we were there with him in the hospital. And also his body had also shrunk. He had gotten very, very, I mean, you could just see the outline of his body in the hospital bed, and we unplugged him. And it's not like in the movies where you unplug him and it flatlines. Like, it took him 45 minutes to die. And my sister and I stood on either side of him, holding his hand and singing songs, nursery rhymes, camp songs. I remember drawing a little heart on the inside of his elbow with a little purple pen that I had in my pocket. And we just sang with him. And did we help him cross over? Did we help ourselves in that horrific transition? But there was so I don't, yeah, that's just it's a lot. I should just take a pause for a second. So that was a death that I witnessed, and it wasn't a natural death because he was in the hospital, and who knows what kind of things he was pumped up on. So it wasn't like he had an experience of a natural death. And but as I was holding Louis these last few nights, I'm thinking, wow, the two bodies that I will have held, it's my dad and Louis. So it's very intense. But I love what you said, that longing for that, because I didn't realize I had that either. I mean, I knew I had the longing, the earth element longing for a child that was never satisfied, but I didn't realize that what that longing was actually about. It was almost this dogma of the child, right? Like, and when I had the experience of that earth element, it was like, maybe that was the experience that I was longing for, and I've had that experience. Now, obviously, it's different. I don't have, proms and, grandchildren, all that, whatever stuff, grammar school stuff, or, bullying, all that, whatever. I don't have that, but that's okay. Like, everything else felt like it came into balance with this experience. So I understand when you're saying the longing for it, because there is that longing for the wheel to make sense, for our experience on this earth to have some kind of structure and some kind of completion. And I know, we talked about in the wood element having purpose, but it's not so much purpose as it is just this isness, and this beautiful completion within that isness. And everyone has to have that experience. And part of the earth element challenges is we try to stop other people from having those experiences because we want to control them under the auspices of caretaking for them, which is where that worry comes in. And so Blaine shared something so powerful with me before we started. So I'm going to ask if you can talk about that. We're talking about worry and self-love. And so maybe you can share a little bit about how we stop others from experiencing their journey.
Yeah. I mean, worry is that, it's a funny thing because you got into the busybody earlier, right? And so, if you're the busybody, like you're worried, you're like, if you're all up in everybody else's business, you don't have to worry about your own, right? It's this constant distraction of always worrying about everybody else. And so you don't have to tend to your own garden, so to speak. And really where we kind of started talking about this particular subject is Lauren was looking up the etymology of the word worry. And she was like, to strangle. And that lit a little like, oh, I remember this. Because there is a yamas and niyamas book that we use in yoga teacher training. And the yamas and niyamas in yoga, they come from the Yoga Sutra as an ancient text. For the purposes of this conversation, we'll just say it's like the 10 commandments of yoga. It's just kind of, do this, don't do this, do this, don't do this. And in one of them, the author of this book, her name is Deborah Adele, was specifically talking about worry. And what she writes, to paraphrase, but I've read it so many times, I'm pretty close, is when, oh, you know what it is? It's in non-stealing. I was like, which one is it? So it's in the one, it's in the one about stealing. Do not steal. and she was saying, do not steal someone's experience. Do not steal someone's journey from them. And when you worry, that is what you're doing. Because if you say you are worried about someone, strangle. She's saying strangle. You are holding them back. You are putting your hands around them and suffocating them. You are saying, I do not trust your decision making. I do not trust your path. I do not trust your journey. I don't trust that. So I'm going to say, I'm worried about you. Don't do it. I'm worried about you. I'm worried about you. I'm worrying about you. And so it is this form of strangle. When you say that you're worrying. And as I started this conversation with, many people in my yoga teacher trainings are earths. And they think when they're worrying, and many of them have children, then they think that when they're worrying, they are helping and they are loving and they are doing their job. And when they read this passage, they're like, what? And it really, though, resonates. They're like, I get it. I get this. And so, yeah, worry means strangle. We can, just kind of pause on that. It's like the mic drop.
Yeah, it is a mic drop. It is a mic drop. Yeah. Okay, so what's the antidote?
Worrying about yourself. Self-love. The antidote is taking that mirror and turning it around and putting it right on you and filling your own cup and taking care of yourself so that you are in balance, right? Because I think what the worry is the out of balance. And so you balance it by taking care of yourself. And in this earth element, it's nourishment, it's stomach and spleen. And so the things that we all talk about taking care of ourselves, getting enough sleep, getting exercise, drinking enough water, eating really healthy, nourishing foods, avoiding alcohol and other toxic substances that can take you off of balance, doing what you love to take care of yourself. And so if you love to go to the spa, or if you love to sit in the corner with a book, or if you like a nice cup of tea and some meditation, or whatever your jam is, taking a walk with a friend. I mean, there's many of different things that you can do to refill your own cup and bring yourself back into balance, because then I think you have perspective. Like when we're in balance, we have perspective and can maybe see this over worrying as strangulation and not loving. What would you do to balance, Lauren?
Yeah, I love all of that. And, when you first said turn the worrying back to yourself too, there is a piece where we strangle ourselves, right? Because we're so worried, what is everybody going to think, right? That is a big thing of the earth element, is worrying what other people think about you and your journey. And that is, I think, a huge thing in the world today with all the social media. Do they like it? Am I getting a thumbs up or am I getting a thumbs down? How many likes did I get? How many people are watching me? How many people are commenting on me? Like all of this stuff. What does everybody think about me? Instead of, what do I think about me? And that is a huge pitfall for an earth element, to be so concerned. I remember being back in high school, and there was this guy that liked me and I liked him, and we would talk on the phone, and was he going to be my first boyfriend? I was a real geeky. I was not like the popular kid. I was not, none of that. And here was this boy who liked me and I liked him, and he was older. I think he was 1 year older, which is huge in high school. That's like, you're a sophomore and he's a junior. Whoa. And so then was I going to go out on a date with him? What was this going to be? And I had this little
group of friends. I use the word friends lightly because they said that he wasn't cool or he wasn't this or he wasn't that. And I listened to them instead of listening to my own self. I was more concerned with what they were saying than what I thought to be the truth. And I didn't go out on a date with him. Now, that could seem small and inconsequential, but if you think about how that can accrue through your whole life, you know, should I get this dress or should I get the pants or should I get the blue or the green? Should I get a salad or should I get a burger? And you're always asking for everybody else's input. And it's sort of like that fire element thing. But this is more of like, am I doing the right thing? Will I be accepted? If I get the dress, then will I be okay? And will everybody like me? If I get the burger, well, I don't even like burgers, but everyone's getting a burger, so I better get a burger because if I get a salad, then they're all going to make fun of me. Oh, what are you, the health nut? Or, like, all of those kind of things that we diminish and move away from our true self. And so whether we're worried about somebody else or we're worrying about what other people think about us, the answer always is come back to the self. Come back to you, come back to loving yourself. And I can say that really easily. That's the antidote. Love yourself. And after doing this work for years and decades, I have come to the understanding that this is one of the single most difficult things that we do is to love ourselves. There's some biological reasons for that. We needed to take care of everybody else so that the whole community would survive. And so we didn't look to our own needs as much. And we're at a place now in the world where there is so much strife out there that it can be easy to just say, I have to take care of everything else. That's what needs to be done. I have to do my work in the world, which is I'm a surgeon, I'm going to go surge, or I'm a firefighter, I'm going to go firefight. And I'm going to take care of all of these things external. But again, this is why we go back to the oxygen on the plane. Because you think of this industry, the airline industry, right? And in one of the most litigious environments in the world, and what they are saying to you is, if the plane is going down, you take care of yourself. Like, that's a huge thing. And so that really is this, it's not even a metaphor. It's just, I got to say, it's a fact. If you do not love yourself, all of the things that we're talking about, healing, giving, creating, all of those things become more and more difficult, if not impossible. And sometimes it can feel impossible to love yourself. And so there's a lot of things that you can do to start that journey, many of which I've written about. Certainly in the third book, The Energy to Heal, because that's about trauma. And oftentimes we don't love ourselves because of some trauma that we've gone through in our lives where we have taken on the false belief that we are not lovable, that we are not worthy. And these are the things that come into our heads when we start to take care of ourselves. Who am I to take an hour to go take a bath for myself when the kitchen is dirty and needs cleaning? And who's going to clean the kitchen anyway? And then you get that persona. I will clean the kitchen. I don't need to take the bath and relax. And you can hear my tone of voice, right? Like that, you sort of get that holier than thou. And that can be the earth out of balance again. There's that earth out of balance that I'm the only one that can fix it all and do it all and make it all. And as I've been, in relationship with my husband over all of these years, I get to see myself, that controlling piece, that not manipulating so much of controlling, like this is how you cut the whatever. And I finally got to be like, you know what? There's like 1,000 ways to cut the carrots to go into the soup. It's going to be fine, right? Like, don't strangle anybody. Let everybody have their journey and their experience, and you as well. And so to start to just turn back to yourself, to witness yourself, to hold space for yourself, to hold yourself, I think is the start of that self-love. Just the same way that I've been holding Louie. And it's not like I haven't loved Louie before,
but the love that has gone to such a deeper level through holding his body. And there's a lot of things that we do in energy medicine yoga that is about holding the body to activate these energy systems that then create these experiences that we're wanting. Because we can get stuck in the mind. I don't love myself. Well, how am I going to love myself if I don't love myself? And I'm critical of myself. Well, everyone else is critical of me too. And they're right to be critical because I'm shitty at this stuff, but I'm good at that. But nobody's da, 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 da. We can have the brain fluctuations just go on and on and on. And then we just end up in a heap on the floor crying. When we do some of these energy techniques, we can let the mind just do its thing, but what's happening energetically in the body is this transformation of these challenging things. And all of the sudden and over time, both all of the sudden and over time, we start to recognize, wow, these changes are happening. And we start to maybe like ourselves a little bit. And then we get towards, can I love myself? And then we get to, can I deeply embrace and love every part of myself? Can I forgive myself for everything that I've done that I don't think is up to snuff? Can I forgive everyone else? And that journey. And that really starts with these holds that we do because the mind stuff is really difficult. And that's the work of therapy and other things like that. And we can do things in meditation, and we've got all kinds of practices that we can do. But what I've noticed the most is if we start to do these holds, that gentleness, that tenderness happens on an energetic level outside of mind and starts to manifest itself in real ways. So I might have just teed you up, Blaine, to share with us the technique, but I also open the floor if there's other things that you want to say about this.
No. I think this is a great place to go to the technique. So, if you're watching, I'm going to take off my glasses for this one because I think this is an easier one to do without glasses. If you're listening, if you're driving or something, just listen to this.
Do this later.
And yeah, do this later, like all of them. And so again, actually, let's start with the breath. So this breath in yoga, we call it the Ujjayi breath. It's a constricted breath. You can also call it Darth Vader breath. It's a breath that it has this vibratory noise. And one thing I want to say about it is for the other 4 elements with the breath, we're doing this big exhale through the mouth. It's this big releasing sort of thing. Except for earth, our breath it's a tighter, more, we're holding our breath to us a little more. Because again, this is about taking care of us. This isn't about shooting our energy out to other people. This is about keeping our energy within, nourishing ourselves, fueling ourselves. And so you can feel that in this breath, unique from the other ones. It is, I'll teach it the way that we teach it in yoga, because I think it's a nice way. So to do the breath, take a big inhale through the nose and then hold your hand in front of your mouth and exhale like you're going to fog up a mirror. Like you're doing that back of the throat. We'll try it again. Inhale through the nose, fog up a mirror with your breath. Now hand down, close the lips. Inhale through the nose, lips closed, fog up the mirror with your nose. And keep doing that. In through the nose, out with a fog up the mirror with the nose. So it's a deeply vibratory breath, and it makes a sound. Sometimes people think it's like waves of the ocean. That's what the sound is reminiscent of. Or the Darth Vader breath is the movie version. So the hold is we cup our eyes. So the way we cover the forehead is with our fingers. The heels of the hand are below the eyes on your cheekbones or the orbital bones right below the eyes. The palms of the hands are going to cover the eyes. be in the forehead, and then you just curl your fingertips into your hairline to the top of the head and do this same breath, the Ujjayi breath, in and out through the nose, a little constriction in the throat. And release. Such an incredible, internal vibration with that one.
It's so beautiful. And, you notice when you're doing the Ujjayi breath versus the other 4 breaths, the breath becomes longer and softer and quieter, and as Blaine said, very internal, versus the other breaths, you're breathing through the mouth, so the exhale happens much quicker. And this, with the nose and that slight pressure on the glottis in the back of the throat that creates that wave-like sound, allows the breath, almost demands the breath, almost makes the exhale breath be longer. And when that exhale breath is longer than the inhale breath, it's a natural resetting of the vagus nerve, which we're not going to go into in depth right here, but is going to make you feel good. It's one of the things that the vagus nerve does when it's reset and it's in tone, that you feel good. So here you are with the hands to the head doing all of these hold points that are speaking to this internal nourishment, this revitalizing of your blood, of your vital life force, resetting this vagus nerve. And all of these holds are doing is this loving of this creature that is you. You are the creature. You are loving this self without any words, without any talking, just with these holds and with this breath. This is one of the things that both Blaine and I adore about this work, is that it does so much for you when you open yourself up to it. So thank you for sharing that, Blaine. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in and listening. And thank you for holding me in such compassionate ears. As I shared my story, I really could feel that through the ether. And that is a hallmark of the earth element. So all of you listening got to activate your earth element by caring for me as I shared my story. And Blaine, of course, was holding that beautiful space as well. So she also got to be really strongly in the earth element, holding me, her podcast partner here, while I shared some deep things. And I'm really excited for our next element, because we're going to turn the tables, and Blaine is now going to share some really deeply personal and powerful experiences that she's had in her life as a primary metal element, and it's going to be so beautiful. So we can't wait for you to tune in to hear that, and thanks for listening. Have a beautiful, love-filled day. Bye, everybody.